You all have come here this morning, and Rinpoche is very glad that you have come here out of faith and interest in the Dharma. And so he'd like to thank you very much for that. And so we will begin this morning by chanting the short Vajradhara lineage prayer. And as we chant this prayer, please.
Tene tatari paru tsimba tuku koro ge tene chutin heju chungwa la pe gabu chong la tene te yang junsen kariri se na jirdo nangba sanji pe tambi chu tenzo tene chimba tang rabjung nige nang ne Rabjung Zor Jepa Tapena Susu Tarben Dola Sopa Tene Mambo Yorete Yinaya Tanda Parud Simba Te Tene Zo Tene Chimba Namji Tambichu Lalin Tarsuri Imbicherna Be Pento Chimbo Yungre Sambare.
Rinpoche is very happy to have the opportunity to teach you about the 6 transcendences, the 6 Paramitas this morning. And the reason for that is that of the Dharma that the Buddha taught, there is Dharma that is principally for lay people and Dharma that is principally for the fully renounced, for the monastics. And among these, there is quite a bit that is taught for the monastics. There are many different ways for them to practice that are taught. But these 6 transcendences, the 6 paramitas, the 6 transcendences are a way for householders, for lay people to put Dharma into practice.
Tene ta tejendu tanda jitang ta nyomli nyomyak kap ke nyomli setsu ta tene jitang jirup ke kap je nyomli setsu number 2 ye penang ne ta mengo ma chishu de nyomyak ke kap je nyomli setsu ma chia yore Rete yinayang parul tu tsimba tu te nyamkya kyangba ma yinpa. Tene maang chi kyu te jirab je kapso tene ngaran so ge rang lu nga ye samtang te yendo rang su su long je tang je pa ta tambi chue la jurwe ge tsul te suwa yinpe chirna tene te yang ti korni yang misal ke tene pento chenpo che yung re samare.
And similarly, in the Dharma instructions, there are primarily 2 aspects. There are the aspects of practice and the aspect of post-meditation. And of these, the vast majority of all the instructions have to do with the practice, with the actual meditation practice of equipoise. However, these 6 transcendences are both teach both about the equipoise, both about meditation and about the post-meditation. And they teach ways that we can use our body, speech, mind, and all our wealth and possessions and transform them into the Dharma, how we can bring them to bear on the Dharma. And so for this reason, there is particularly a great benefit in teaching the 6 transcendences.
Tene ta te yendo tanda tene Mangchichu ga Dhamma tenzo semji tene ta nyamni se sul zo de ina ya parul tu simba tu ga kapsula ta lunga ke jelam de yendo tene jitin chi sawa duchul de tambe chu dan tamba jurwe chul de yimbe cherna tene parul tu simba tu de nyamni na tu pata parul tu simba tu ga kor de tene thula yane sena be pento chimbo yongre.
Similarly, most of the instructions, or the vast majority of the instructions give instruction in how the mind is, the way that the mind is, and what to do with the mind. But these six transcendences tell how to behave with our body and our speech. They tell what we can do as we work in the world, how we can use our activities in the world to bring them into the Dharma, how to use them to be virtuous, and how to practice the Dharma. And so for this reason, it is also extremely beneficial.
Tene ta teacherna parul tu simba tu na ne ta thangbo jimbe parul tu simba rela. Tene jimbe parul tu simba te zo kandire se na tene jimba tangwa te zo ma yinba. Rangi ta yin la pen topa je jong na ngone jimba kasi tutup ji tangi yin sombe ke lo de kalche ge yorela. Tene te ya tanda jasi hiwa la ge song na tong semne topa la jimba paru simba he se. Tene jimba te kasi ina ya ta korang pen topa jong na tangi yin somba se na. Tene te ge ten gewa te ya chenpo yungi yore. Tang ngarangi pe mesi pe chenpo ji tang tup na yanda, ma tup na yanda te tang ngarangi tangi yin sompe kumhong yapo je yo na te pe pento chenpo re so.
For that reason, the first of these six transcendences that we will talk about is transcendent generosity. The first of these, when we talk about generosity, what is it that we mean primarily about generosity? It is not principally giving everything that we have. It is not principally giving. Rather, what it is to have the idea, the motivation to give as much as we can, to give what we can out of a benefit, out of a wish to benefit other sentient beings. As the great teacher Shantideva said, it is the mind of giving, the intention to give, that is the perfection or the transcendence of giving, of generosity. And so, in this way, it is not so much what we give, how much we give, but rather the intention to give what we can in every opportunity that we can in order to be beneficial. And so if we can if we're able to give an extremely large amount, or if we are not able to give an extremely large amount, in either case, it is really this intention to give that is so extremely beneficial.
Tene tateya tanda je gombo pa ge songa jitang ge jimbate jimbatangure tangure te yinaya jimbala tagbe jimbata madape jimba ni yorela tina ne madape jimbate tani ke marela tagbe jimbate tangure.
Also, it is as the Lord Gambopa said. We do need to be generous. We do need to make gifts. But there are two different types of generosity. There is pure generosity and impure generosity. And of these two, it is pure generosity that we need to give.
Tene tela madape jimba sena, kandi jiri sena, tene tangpo rangi kuhu madapa. Kapkala jimba, ngune jimba ji tangma ya, tene te ngune pensem ke go ni jimba tangma ma yiba. Je ngukuru tangya ke chetu jimba tangma la sopa. Tene yina, tene rangi kuhu madapa yimba sena, tene ke jimba te pangu ke yaba ta. Ya rang ke kuhon o chi yapu yona ya teni kap la jimbe yor tela ne king ki jimba yor kari re se na teni tape na je tuk dawo teni ya na tuk dawo te ki sa na nga la tanga tuk sa ki yin che ki tuk te ru chi se na teni te jimbe yor la ne ki yor Te yendo je tanda jimbi yor te ta korang la nasala nepe ke se la sopa tende jimba tang na tene te negi yor la tene te jimba tang we yor la nepa. Ya kashi jimba tang we yor korang la jimba tang we yor te la mane na ya jimba tang we yor te la jimba tang la tene yin la nepa per na sencha la sopa jimba. Tabena ngamba ndabula teni menda ndabu jimba tangna teni tige rada ndabu se teni senchi mambola neba chalgi yorela teni tindigi res churba jimba te modabe jimba imbechina pangu re.
What is it that we mean when we say that there is impure giving? What this primarily means is when we have an impure motivation, a motivation that is not to help other people, it is not out of benevolence, but rather out of the wish to fool or to trick or deceive someone. So that is, if that is the type of motivation we have, then that is the sort of generosity that we need to discard. We need to abandon that sort of generosity. Sometimes when we are generous, we don't have, sometimes when we are generous, we don't have such an impure desire and our intention is somewhat good, but we give something that is actually ends up being harmful to the person that we give it to. For example, if we have poison and someone says, I need to eat that poison, give me the poison, and we give them the poison, then that is something that will end up hurting that person we give it to. And so that is not good generosity. Or sometimes you might give someone to someone who is ill, that just makes them even sicker, that makes them sick. And so that is also not what we need. Sometimes we are generous with things in a way that does not directly harm the person whom we are, or that does not harm the person whom we are giving them to. But because of giving them that, they then can harm someone else. For example, when we give them knives or the weapons, guns, or any other sort of thing, then that person might go out and might go hunting deer or something like kill deer and so forth. And so that is a gift that allows them to harm someone else. That also is not good.
Tene ta teacher na marape jimbate pang ne dagwe jimbate tangu yorela. Dagwe jimbala kande tangu yore se na jimbat namba som yore. Jimbat namba som te sansing norji jimba menji chapji jimba tamba chuji jimbate namba som yore.
And so for that reason, this sort of impure generosity is a generosity that we must give up. It is a generosity that we must abandon, and we must take up the pure generosity. So what is this pure generosity? It is said that there are 3 different types of pure generosity. There is the generosity of material wealth. There is the generosity of freedom from fear, and there is the generosity of Dharma.
Tene ta te na ne sansing 노르지 짐발라 되니 지탕게 되니 단다 동화당 신도 동화당 자가 동화세 넘버섬 숨기요래.
Of the first type, the generosity with material wealth, there is the generosity of giving. There is the generosity of great giving, and there is the generosity of vast giving.
Tene ta telaya je tambo tongwang ge on de xe na tene yar kenjo la chepa ta mar ngelong la jinba number ni sungi wa la tene de na ne tambo yar kenjo la chepa on de xe na tene jitang ge sanje ge kutin tene 대견도 tene tambi chu on de xe na ta tambi chu jitang ga ran su nyonle na ya re de yin ya tambi chu yigiri su ti pa da bo tene ta 대견도 rang la chu tempe ge hi ni la su pa ta be yin na tene de la che pa phol na sonam chembo per na je sanje ge kuting ga dan la chepa pulwata tene tambi chu sunrab yigiri sutripa la chepa pulna je se na tene chome ba na ta tra kutin kundam dodo je pesha dodo je ge zala meto ndabo ta manmen ndabo ge chepa pulna je chome ba na danda me ba na jabu mondi son ndabo je thong gre de yin ya ngune se na mondi mai ba 다티 제 투모 마인베 연된 단담바 진랍 단담바 다티랑 펜토도 단담바 임베 쳤나 데라 대바예베 땡인다고 데라 드니 부다 마르멜라소 제파폴나 베 펜토야.
The first of these, giving, has two different parts. It has giving up or offering up to the jewels, and then there is giving down to those in need. And so, of these two types, the first is giving up to the jewels, and this is making an offering to the Buddha, to a statue of the Buddha. Or in terms of the Dharma is principally something that we practice, but there also are the representations of the Dharma, the letters that are written on the pages, and so we can make offerings to those, or we can make offerings to our spiritual friends, the teachers. And these are all great merit. There's a great merit involved in giving to all of them, and there is a great benefit in giving to all of them. But you might think that when we give to a statue of the Buddha, when we make an offering to a statue of the Buddha, or when we make an offering to the Dharma, when we, for example, place flowers and incense and so forth before a statue or before a Dharma text, you might think that this is something that couldn't possibly be beneficial, that this is something that we just do out of blind faith. But actually, it is not something that we just do out of blind faith. It is something that actually does have a great benefit. It is something that is very beneficial to do for us. It is something that we do out of faith.
Tene tateya tanda sanji jikutin raboji nang wene nekap pembore don raboji re te yinaya te sanji jikutin imbe charna sanji chomden de ta ngaranchu ge japshusa khon la japshupa la tene ngaranchu dungalle japa dewa topa tarsu kundebu topjuye bade tene garden chimbo yimbata chinlap chimbo yimbata nupa chimbo yimbala hina tene de tabu somlo jin korna tene ngaranchu tambi juye de la rentang temba tambi juye la deba yeba tambi juye la deba yeni tambi juye nyamselemba tugrela tene te mayimba sanji sinking te tatara se chomi rabo tene tende som na tene te la tene tepatomo vijay ki mare la tepatomo vijay na maje na chunyam ni tugi yo mare la tene te rang sem je tene tepatomo vijay go yore yore te yinaya ti nyamdo tene ta chepapul solwata melam japna tene tige tepatomo ranking ki jegi yore la teacher na sanji chikutin la tene puda metodo mamela sopa purjite be kalchimur.
You might think that there would be no benefit to making an offering to a statue of the Buddha because it is just a material object. It's like something that's sitting there, and that there couldn't be any benefit from making an offering to it. But because it is a support for the Buddha, it is a support for the Buddha to whom we go for refuge. It is the support of the Buddha whom we ask for refuge. It is the support of the Buddha who can protect us from suffering, and who can bring us to, and who can protect us from suffering, and who can bring us to happiness. It is the source of the blessings. It has power. The Buddha is someone who can help us, and so when for this reason, the Buddha is someone whom we can have faith in. And when we have this faith in the Buddha, if we make the offerings, it is beneficial. If we do not have any faith, however, if we think that there is no benefit to making an offering to this, and then that this is just a material thing that cannot benefit us in any ways, then this is something then making offerings to it is not going to do particularly much good. But on the other hand, if we have faith in the Buddha as a refuge, and we then make offerings, we put out flowers or light incense and so forth in front of it, and we have this, and we do this out of faith and devotion, then the act of doing this will increase our faith and devotion even more. And so for that reason, it will have the great benefit for us.
Tene ta tejendo tanda tene tambi chugo on de sena ta ko perna ngaranzo tambi chuji sensi dela dep ki yor dep dela je chepa pol manam ja tene sena je sena kupwa ro tongre de yinaya de jitang shogu ndabo ta je rimon ndabo mayimba tene tela junsen kari yore sena ti nang tene ngaranzo mesela pemba mese tsam mayimba jewa ni jewa tserab ni tserab la pembe ke dangwa sapu yepa te pe yenda mandawa jirela tene te yepa hipi ke ten la jepa pul solwata tela kukursiya na tene tela tepatomo vijay kirela tela tepatomo vijay na nyamlin topa la tene drebu zangpo topa yungi yorela junsin teacher na tene tep pesa tenso la nye juyon rapo mayimpa kukursiya de kalchimbo re.
Likewise, in terms of the Dharma, what we have as sort of a representation of the Dharma is the books that we have of the Dharma books. And you might think that it would be foolish or stupid to make offerings to them or to pay respects to such books. And yet, that is not so, because it is not really the letters that are written. It is not really the letters in the book or the paper of the book or the drawings in the book that we are venerating. Rather, it is the Dharma that is inside it that is important to us. It is the Dharma in these books that will be beneficial to us in this life. It is the Dharma that is in these books that will be beneficial to us from lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. And so this is not like any ordinary sort of book. It is something that will be of great benefit to us. And so when we pay respects to the texts, when we pay respects to the books, then we are paying respect to this Dharma. We are showing our faith in the Dharma. And this increases our faith in the Dharma. Through increasing our faith in the Dharma, it encourages us to practice the Dharma. And by encouraging us to practice the Dharma, then it means that eventually we will attain a result from that practice. And so for that reason, it is very important that we have faith in these books and that we pay respects to them.
Tene ta tejen to gending denda bota ge hinin ra bola ya chopa priya te pe karchim pore la tene junsen karire sena tanda ngaranso ta America rang luxo la tene sabda chimbundro na tene tela roson chimbutang yo tene ta ten roson chimbutang ate kupa ge lekare sena mare pe ya pore 야보 임비 준생 가르르세나 당 나랑가 메시 데지데 딜랍종 텔라테네 요아 인두 테네 텔라 테네 베 자침보 진사이 텔라 런탕 침보 진사이 디탄도 로송 침보 땅 텔라테네 로종 야보지 세주데 베 펜토 침보 테네 고바 침보레
And then we also have the Sangha and also the spiritual friends, our teachers. And it is very important to make offerings and to pay respects to our teachers. And we can see this from an American example. We have many great American colleges and universities. And these colleges and universities have very high tuition and fees. And you might think that this is a rather stupid way to do it, that it is a foolish thing, but actually this is not. This is really quite clever. And the reason is that it is by getting the education from these universities that we can receive the benefit for this life. It is what is going to be helpful to us and going to help us have worldly happiness. And so it is something that we need to value and something that we need to consider very precious.
Tene ta tejen do tambi chu ga on de sena ya. Tene je tambi chu de dra se pento me pa mai ba. Tene je tang ge pento chimbo. Sen de la ya de jin ju ge zawan do. Tejen do de sen de zang mai ba. Jewa ni jewa tsera ni tsera thong ji la. Deji tope ke zawanda boda dongal tam tarwe ke zawanda boje yimbi cherna teni tepe randang chimboda za chimboje yimbalan zaine teni titanto teni je rosonda boda jabanda bo polna te gubatang tempata pento ton tempa.
Similar with the true Dharma, it is not something that does not have a benefit. It is something that is extremely beneficial for us in this life, in protecting us from suffering and helping us achieve happiness. It is something that is beneficial for achieving happiness and protecting us from suffering for lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. And for that reason, it is something that is very precious and very valuable, and something that we need to consider very important. And so it is something that it is very beneficial to thus feel like we need to make a big expenditure for it. It is very helpful for us to feel like it is something that we need to, valuable, that we need to spend, go to an expense to get.
Tene ngarang chuji ge hinin chapa fulgure se ngala chapa fulgure senkendo ke cha tabdu na botinde ko sigre ina ya te mare te karire se na ta cheran chu ge chitang ge dambi chula rumthang dang demba che da dambi chu de yapo yimba che shi ju da tene ngarang ro boje na lengin karire se na chu nyom se lendang de yapo che te chu nyom se len senkin te tene per na gomden ten la tutu sine de pa champa mai pa Tambi chu te lunga ye som longje dong chi pe kadi si nyam se lengu ge yapate lab ju te ta ngaran chu hien king lengin re la ti cherna te hyoa yin la.
You might think that Rinpoche is saying this because he himself is a spiritual friend and that he wants the donations for himself. But actually, it isn't like this at all. This is not Rinpoche's motivation at all. Rather, this is something that is, practicing the Dharma is something, the true Dharma is something that is beneficial for you. It is something that will help you. And something that you need to have faith and devotion, that you need to know how to do. And it is Rinpoche's responsibility to teach you how to practice the Dharma. And if you were just to sit down on your meditation cushions and have some sort of a blank state, just not know what to do at all, that wouldn't be beneficial at all. Rather, what you need to have someone to teach you what to do. It is Rinpoche's responsibility to teach you how to practice the Dharma, how to meditate, and do things like this. And so it is for your benefit that he is teaching you this.
Tene ta tege ya ge ju la chepa. Ta mangen hong la jimba re la, mangen hong la jimba se du, tene ta tanda chitang ge ngen hong la jimba tangu re. Tangu re te yina ya ta yi hyupa na yin ge mada pa jimba te pangu re la. Tene ta kari go ge re se na takvi jimba te tang du te la. Tene je parupo te la nepe ge jimba ma yin pa. Parupo te la nepa ma yin na yin la nepe ge jimba ma yin pa. Tene ngone parupo te la pemba. Parupo te la yang na pemba. Yang na parupo te la jimba tangwa la tene jitni pemba. Tene tenda bo ta jimba zang bo. Kungo nambar tapu go ne jimba tang jite kal chegre.
That was talking about making offerings up to the jewels, and then there is also being generous down to the suffering, or down to the downtrodden. And this is also something that is very important. And yet, we need to make sure when we do this that we give up all impure forms of generosity. We should not make impure generosity. We need to offer pure gifts. And so what this means is that we need to give gifts that are not harmful to the person we are giving to. We need to give gifts that person cannot use to harm, or will not use to harm other people. We need to make gifts that will help people. We need to make gifts, or if they do not directly help the person that we give, that will, through the continuum or through the stream, that he'll give to someone else, and that will bring benefit to someone else. And so we need to make gifts out of a kind motivation and out of an utterly pure motivation. This is very important.
Tene ta te yendo chitang perna tanda chiula jimba tang rabota, chala jimba tang rabota, tene nyala jimba tang rabota, mbola jimba tang rabota, tene ina ya ta senchi nyamchung, tene takhi meba, mompa, tene jimba tang na pe, guba tang, pento chimbo, tene nekap, te koranso, ta te jago matoba, ta tende ki chidala jimba tangwa te pe kal chiwa yinba cherna, tende ki rela, ta pa te na kal chung chung rabo, shirawa ke tenzo la nyam nyam me pa rabo che jimba matang na, tene te ngune jimba chung chung che la, pento chenpo yinba cherna, tende jimba tang che te pe kal chenpo.
And so it is, if for example, we might think about giving generosity to birds, to different types of birds, fish, or bugs, or such types of animals. These are animals who are very weak and who do not have a lot of power. They do not have a lot of resources for themselves. They are very deluded. They have difficulty helping themselves. And so being generous to them is really extremely beneficial. It is something that is beneficial for them in the short term. It can feed them when their stomachs are empty. It can help protect them from fear. And so it is very beneficial to give them. So temporarily it means that they are not hungry at all. It may seem that such generosity is not particularly important. It may seem like these are small beings. It doesn't really help them all that much. And yet, actually, it is a very small act of giving that has an extremely great result. And so for that reason, it is really quite important.
Tene tatiya je kumo number tapase du tela tene je narang tana chiunda bonkor zibo do yunga git maiba tengone tenzo tene je se cholwe kapsula perna chiunda boje na se cholwe kapsula nyanka chembo se mathol na ne digiyo mare se chol na ne tene siude nyomjung indutela namkhane nepa yongsekre sajine nepa yongsekre tene jito yore nepa tenzo nepa chunchumai pa sole nyanka yore tene teacher na te kap gugre tu gugre tene ti pata ni a tego to de se chol gu yore ti tenzo la be tenzo gu chorwa nyamnyong tenzo la champatang ni jigo ne jimpatang na pe pento chim.
We should have an utterly pure motivation when we make such gifts. We should, for example, if we are feeding the birds, we should not do this out of a motivation just so that we can have a nice show watching pretty birds, but rather we should do it to protect their lives. Because they are in great danger. They are always afraid of not having enough food or of being attacked or eaten. And so it is important thus for us to give them food, to provide them food. If we do not provide them food, they have to look for it themselves. And yet they are in constant danger of things coming and attacking them from the sky, in danger of things attacking them from the ground. And so they always have to constantly avoid such dangers. And even while they're avoiding such dangers, they at the same time need to look for food. And so their lives are constantly in danger. And yet if we give them a bit of food, then it is beneficial to them. They don't have to worry about their food so much. And so it is out of a motivation of loving kindness and compassion for these birds that we should feed them.
Tene tate yendula mela jimbatang na ya te zo ta penna scholarship do te na tene di tene hien pel wala tene meseti tipo yung ala sopa ta be gupa tang pento chembo ya pa tene ti nepa mepa pento ya pa ta tende jimbatang na be gupa chembo.
Similarly, in terms of humans, when we are generous to humans, one good way to do this is by giving scholarships. Because when you give a scholarship and someone can receive an education, then they become educated, and as a result of becoming educated, they're able to get a better job and good work. And so this is very beneficial to the person. So this is a good way to give to people.
Tene ta tejendo shindu tongwa tong jaka tongwa senkente tene pe ngarang longche chasang jimbatang dabotang tene tejendo lu jimbatang la sopa tende la kogi ware la tene te la ya te ngarang su ge rang che tang tambachi sam jasi hiwa la ge suwa la ya ni ji somba mara pa lund tangwar majate Niji pe mesi bi hyuk chembo tene niji te njurwa me pa che rang jula maji ge bardula tini detabu ge hindu tongwa tong jaka tongwa tin maji karire sena tini maompala ji sena jeba jegre jeba jena jimba tangwa tin cholan ro yore la tini teacher na tini tati jimba tin matang lu jimba tangwa la sopa maji tini yina ya tini tandak lu de 차상 짐바다 당가랑 그 루당 롱젠디 마온발라 센치 탐지라 펜바지 제기 sombe 그 넘버 타바제 여나 틴티 센치는 짐바다한테 지바레 틴데신의 짐바당 그래 마도야 돈부지니 짐바당야 루 짐바당야라고 틴데 마제 틴데 수시죠 타말 바가 성거
We also have the second and third types of generosity. The second and third types of generosity are great generosity, and I actually mistranslated the name of the third type of generosity a moment ago. It is difficult generosity, generosity that is difficult to give. So the three generosities, just to review them for you, to correct your notes, are the generosity, are giving, great giving, and giving that's difficult to give. These are the three divisions of giving of material wealth. Now back to what Rinpoche said. So the other two types of this generosity are great generosity and difficult generosity. And what these are understood as being are as giving everything, or as giving everything that you have, or also as giving your body. And these are actually types of generosity that right now you should not give. We should not give these right now when we're just ordinary people. This is, as was talked about by the great teacher Shantideva, where he, or by the son of the victors Shantideva, where he said that if you have not if you do not have great compassion, do not do difficult generosity. And what this means is that if you are, until such time as you are someone who has given rise to extremely great compassion in your beings, compassion that is unchanging and steadfast, until you have reached that point, you should not give your body, or you should not give all of your wealth. And the reason for that is that if you do so, you might end up regretting having been generous before. And if you regret it, then that generosity will basically just go to waste. And so it is important not at this point, or it is important at this point not to give everything that you have, or to give your body. However, it is also possible to think that in the future you'd like to give your body to benefit, and in the future you'd like to be able to give your body to bring benefit to all sentient beings, and to be able to give parts of your body to be able to bring benefit to all sentient beings. And if you have that intention that in the future you'd like to be able to do that, then that is just as good.
tene topa salgo pa la tene narange ta tanda tanda trotli se pe kabla me mambu ke trola tene ta je maompala chi kapso tene ta tanda nepa sungsila jimbatanya loa ndabotan jimba ndabotan kema ndabo tatinde jimbatana tene kandi yungre tene tige pardola negerebe puala negerebe singenda botende pua pariada bota tende negerebe se tua tende mambotan sona tene tenzo chitang kan kalchegre se na rang kuhon kalchegre rang kuhon tene nga chiwe kapsula tene senchi yenda la pen to na ombo tenzo jimbatangi yin sombaje ni takwa ni yo na jimbatang tu na pe pen to chimbare tige poa tawyal nege mare tige pardon dimial nege mare ta tingarang ka hihi na bota sabji jikada tenchuta lama kom dangwa la ten shikaje ta tenso la kanya ne ga mare jimbatang tuna yapore yapore la ya japan da chena senta maje na yiji minji jimbatang go ye yo mare la ten te zo rang senji komon te kalche ge yo la tambe chu ngoni ne yapo ma to phoa ta zalung la so pa ten de la kanya ne ga mare.
Here there's a doubt that many people have, and a lot of people have asked Rinpoche questions such as in the future at the time of death if they are organ donors and donate their lungs or their kidneys or their corneas or their livers or some other organ. Is this something that is what will happen to them? Is this something that will be harmful to them when they try to do the POA or the transference meditation? Will it be harmful in the bardo, in the intermediate state? And so a lot of people have this fear and they ask this question, but actually there's no reason to have any fear about this. And the reason is that it really comes down to your motivation. If you have a really good motivation and you think to yourself that you want to help someone else, you want to let this organ be used to be beneficial to someone else, and you can think this from the bottom of your heart, and you really truly believe it, then it is something that is going to be extremely beneficial. It'll be beneficial for the other person. It'll be very helpful. It is something that will also, and it won't harm your POA, your transference, or your time in the intermediate state at all. And so it is something that is really quite good if you have this good motivation from your heart to do it. And so it is important that it be something, but if it is something that you regret, then it's different. So you need to make sure that you have a good, wholehearted motivation in doing this. And if you do have such a good motivation, then it will only be beneficial for you in terms of the true Dharma. And it won't have any harmful effects in terms of doing the transference or meditation or in terms of the intermediate state, the bardo.
Tene ta tejendo ta dige sansin orji jipa de shubarela. Ta ni pa te menji chap jipa. Menji chap jipa te tene tanda che kashi so kenyen kale chapa. Tene kashi ne jipa le chapa. Tene kashi san la dungal ye pa le chapa. Ta tindege menji chap jipa te ta perna so kenyen kale ye pa le chap tupi ke kokap chauna te pe so kenyen kale chapa. Tene te ya ta perna mela so pa yin na ya ra dondo la so pa yin na ya ra senjin chung mbo ndabo ta senjin jame ngemi tenzo so kenyen ka chimbo chung ke kap so tene konso la perna mbo ndabo ta jiu ndabo yin na jap me pa ngam me pa tene rang dungal tele jap me hi pa nyen ka tele dru me hi pa ta tende ye pa la te si so kenyen ka le jap ndabo Te pe pento chimba yimba ta. Tene te yendo la perna senje ni ji narwa me yina yaro me ma yimba tundo la sopa yina yaro ni ji narwa la ni te la pembe ke me yinda boda tene ta tap hi namba na sopa go ne te la pembe ke tap se na tene te pe ni dungalle japa yimbe chena menji jap ji jiba.
So that was the the generosity of material wealth. And the second type of generosity is the generosity of freedom from fear. And so here there are many sentient beings who are in danger of losing their life, who are suffering from great illnesses, or who have great mental suffering. And so for all of these beings, for instance, if it is someone who, if it is a being who is in danger of their life, of their lives, then if it is possible, or if you have the occasion, the opportunity to do something such to benefit such a being, to protect such a being, then it is very beneficial to do that. There may be many different sentient beings, any animals or bugs or small different creatures who are unable to help themselves, who do not have the resources, the wherewithal to help themselves, to protect themselves, and they're in danger from various different things, in danger of losing their lives. And if you can do something beneficial and helpful to such beings, then it is really then that is extremely helpful. Likewise, there might be humans or animals who might have some sort of a great illness. And so they may be stricken by some great illness and have a lot of fear and suffering because of that. And so if you can give them medicine, or if you know of some other way that you can bring benefit to them, if you have some method that can help them, and you can give that to them, then that is something that will be very beneficial to them, and something that will be very helpful.
Tene ta tetavu perna mendravoji na ngaranso lapsolyo la tene tama chunchun ji na ned la mrente ned ne pinyon la pe ne patel che naju chinda singa ta ropa che gosa andu sena diga nasala pengre sena peng mare te koran ne pati sen pengre o koran le nala nasa kandu si ti ropa che gosa andu si ti te pe yapuchong pe pembochong sambandava yungrela tinde inaya tene te menji chapji jimbate ti te sen la pengre te nasa te naru kapsala jab me pandavo ngam me pandavo ri de pe kapla tene twase ropa te si sena pe pento chimborela te tenso taba inaya menji chapji jimba.
Sometimes there are people who you aren't able to give them medicine or help them in that way, but you can help them in other ways. For example, it is said, there is a saying in Tibetan that you do not help the sickness, you help the person. And so what this means is that sometimes when there's a sick person, if you talk to them and you say, "Oh, what's wrong with you? What sort of sickness do you have?" That person might think to themselves, that doesn't actually cure them of their illness, but it helps that person. It helps them in their mind, because they think, "Oh, here's someone who's asking about me. Here's someone who's interested in me. I've got a friend, I've got a companion." And this can be extremely beneficial to the person whom you're talking to. And so in this way, even though it doesn't help with the illness necessarily so much, it helps with the person's mind. It helps with the fear that they are experiencing. And so for this reason, this is also a way of giving freedom from fear. And so it's important here to act like this. So these are all ways of giving freedom from fear.
Tene ta tige menji jabji jimba kibarela ta sumba te tamba chuji jimba sikira tamba chuji jimba te ta che tambe chu la depa mepa che la depa chi tupando samba tam tene tambe chu la zendru te samba mepa la zendru te si per tupando samba tam tambe chu mihi pala te si labna te fe hisando samba tam yo na tene ngaranso pe tambe chu laviata tambe chu heyate kalche ge yo inaya te yang kahi tambe chu hepala tene ta tambe chu la moba me du control da buke lokta da buke ken yorela tene control da buke wa to lokta da buke wala tambe chu na tene tanda medi pala chu mi hi 대파 짜니 매파 로타 징켄라 주히닝 마레 마토 예데지 건데이야바 힌데이야바 제 냠스 뇽데이야바 딘데라 딘니 주히나 베 펜토 침보 딘니 데 제와니 제와 세라니 세랄 펜도 그러라 딘 담비주 데지 로준다보다 딘데 주히야 데 갈침
So that was the discussion of the generosity of freedom from fear. Next we have the generosity of the true Dharma. This is, if we think that, we might sometimes think to ourselves that, oh, there's someone there who doesn't have any faith in the Dharma, who might get some faith in the Dharma. Or that there is someone there who is being a little bit lazy, whom we can encourage to be diligent. Or that there is someone who probably will understand if we teach them something. And so if we are in a situation where it's like that, then it is good to teach a little bit about the Dharma. It is good to explain a little bit of Dharma or tell stories of the Dharma. And by doing this, that can help the person gain faith or understanding and be beneficial. But it is also said that, but it is important that we do it to those whom we think will take it, because it's possible that sometimes when you teach the Dharma, someone might actually get angry or might react negatively to being taught the Dharma. They might not want to hear the Dharma, and so you need to look and see. If it is someone who is not ready to hear the Dharma, then you shouldn't teach the Dharma. It is said that we should not teach the Dharma to those who do not have faith. Because if you teach it to people, they won't hear it, they won't be able to understand it, they will not gain any faith. And so, for that reason, do not teach the Dharma to those who do not have any faith. But if you think that it is someone who has some interest or who might be able to be helped by it, then it is a good way to teach the Dharma. And so in this way, in terms of generosity, we have these three different types of generosity. The generosity of material wealth, the generosity of freedom from fear, and the generosity of the Dharma. And these are things that we do need to practice. They're things that we need to put into practice. Dharma to animals, to birds, or to bugs, or to forth. And the reason for that, though they have not got the precious riches, they do not have that, and they don't have any practice the Dharma. They do all have Buddha, and so because they have this Buddha to teach, to tell them a little bit. And so this is, as I talked about, in the liturgy for the life ceremony, the ceremony of releasing fishes and bugs, life release ceremony, where he said that reciting the mantra we call liberation through hearing. When of the mantra comes into their ear, they do not necessarily immediately create deep hold. They do not immediately achieve knowing or prajna, but rather the sound does come into their ears. They hear the sound of the Dharma. They hear it in their ears, and once they have heard it, a seed has been planted. And that is a seed that will then ripen. And so it is very beneficial to recite mantras to them or to recite them. And so this is really very important. In terms of generosity, we have these three different types of generosity of material wealth, the generosity of the Dharma. And these do need to practice. They're things that we need to put. Not something that we need to always and in all circumstances, always be generous in all circumstances, in all ways. But as much as you can, in any way that you can, with a pure motivation. In this way, then it is extremely beneficial. Transcendence is transcendent discipline. That's three different types of discipline. The three different the vows that bind, the discipline and the discipline and so the first of these, the vows that bind, this is actions of our body and our speech. And so in terms of and to avoiding body, speech, and mind, in terms of our body, harmful different behaviors that we can do, things that will harm people that we do, eating or killing or whatever. Are in terms of our speech, there is giving up speech, harsh words that harm other things. And likewise, in terms of our sort of ill will or bad thoughts, trying to give up all sorts of malice. And so in this way, we the body, speech, and mind. The first type, that bind us from harmful. What is most important of all these in terms of our activity in speech is not to take life. And in particular, spiritual or maybe I'd like to admonish you all not to, in these days, we have to have a pleasant day by going to an ocean or a river and going fishing. Not to do this, because when you're going out of a motivation that is just to have a pleasant time going, you aren't particularly thinking about what sort of suffering does the fish have when they're hooked. What sort of suffering does the fish have when they're and what sort of suffering do they have when they are killed? These are beings who they're weak. They do not have any resources. They do not have any protector. And for them to undergo such terrors, what sort of suffering? Or maybe some people might go hunting out of the pure desire to go time. There's no particular need it's just to go have a good time. So people, or they hunt various different fowl. This is coming for just to have. So it's important to sort of motivation and not to do such things. It's also this is also something we should do for jobs. Of course, it's important that we work for us to work. It is something that is beneficial for our countries. That can be in accord, and yet it is important that we do work that involves killing our beings. It is important that we do not requires us to kill other sentient beings, and we need to do. If we have such a job, then that job, and to do something else that does not require beings. And so this is really very. Not taking life is really extremely important. Of course, it's also possible that it be virtual. For example, once in one of the wars, was born as a captain, and this captain, great courage, went out to the sea with go get jewels. But there was one on the ship who had a very mind and very evil intentions. His name was Black Man Short Spear. Black Man Short Spear was wanted to. So he went into the hold of the ship to allow the water in and flood and sink. And now the captain, great courage, saw that this was going to happen. He then axe and he killed man short spear. And when he did this actually was virtuous. The reason that it was virtuous is that not out of a non-virtuous motivation, but rather out of the virtuous motivation to help protect others' ascension in order to protect the 500 people and to kill. And so he had this pure, compassionate motivation. So for this reason, that was not a non-virtuous action. So if you have to kill it, that it be, so it is possible that if you kill with a completely pure motivation, that it also might be virtuous. That we also need to be careful of in terms of our mind. It's something that we need to make sure that motivation, a beneficial motivation, avoid, or we need to give bad motivations that we might have on any malice or ill will or any motivation. We need to give up such and we need to rely on carefulness and awareness in order to attain a good, pure motivation. It is very important that we do this. In terms of our speech, it is important that we avoid anything that is harmful. It is important that we do anything divisive, or that we do not say anything harsh, that we do not say anything that will hurt another being. And so this we need mindfulness, awareness, and carefulness to make sure that our speech also is pure. This, of course, is in general, But there are some times when it might be actually beneficial to like tell a lie, for example. It might be beneficial, or there might be times where if you told the truth, it would be very helpful. Excuse me, there might be times where if you told the truth, it would be very harmful. And so at those times, it actually is important not to tell the truth. It is actually okay in those times to tell a little lie if you have a good, pure motivation and you're doing it out of the in order to benefit. Then it is important to maybe tell a lie. If there's a situation where if you told the truth, someone is going, some sentient being is going to get hurt, then you should tell a lie. And so, for example, there might be someone who asks, where did that little animal go? And if you told them which hole the animal went down, then they'll go chase it and they'll kill it. Oh no, it didn't go down there. Then they'll go look someplace in the life of that animal. And so, a white lie that is actually very... So, you do not necessarily give up lies. But there are times when you can lie out of a motivation, out of kind and a harmful. Likewise, sometimes you might. There might be some time. Likewise, harsh words are something that you give up. But there are some times when to keep someone from doing something that will harm. You speak to them harshly. You say harsh words to them. You say, don't do this in a harsh way. And that protects that person. It keeps them from doing something harmful. And so, this out of a motivation, and out of a pure beneficent to be, it is okay. And so, in this way, it is not absolutely necessary in all circumstances to give up lying or harsh words.
Tene tati ni je dom tsutte barewa. Tene ti toni togo shuna in tadu tsutte som shuna.
And so that is the explanation of the discipline of vows of action. So we will pick up from this point in the afternoon and leave our Dharma session here for the morning. Now we will recite So they start on page 6.